Long Branch City Workshop to order.
Mrs. Billings? Here. Mr. Pallone?
Here.
Mr. Sirianni?
Here.
Dr. Selly?
Here.
Mrs. Bastelli?
Here.
And I hereby certify this meeting has been published in the newspapers in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act and posted as required by law.
Okay, first on our agenda will be a discussion of the security ordinances with the senior housing. Director Roebuck?
That's not me, that's actually this guy.
So I had sent you all an email, and I sent you the ordinance as it came down. So the mayor had asked the director and I to survey the buildings that are governed by this ordinance. And it turns out there's 5 buildings that are fall under the ordinance. 3 of them are the Housing Authority buildings, Chester Arthur, Kennedy Towers, and Gregory School Housing. The other 2 buildings is Washington Manor, which used to be called Brownman Towers years ago, and Ocean Point Towers, which is 10 Pavilion, which is the address where the folks had addressed you with their concerns. So the director and I went to each of the places. We looked at how they do their security, how they man. Everybody pretty much has some sort of a electronic entry system, whether it's a fob or a keypad or something, for the residents. They all have video cameras, some a little better than others, some have been upgraded, but they all have some sort of video. And we were surprised to find that 4 of the 5 buildings already have security on the weekends between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. So your ordinance requires these buildings that fall under this ordinance to have uniform security from 4 p.m. to 8 a.m. 7 days a week. That's what the regulations say. So the folks from 10 Pavilion,
7 days a week.
they want 7 days a week from 4 p.m. to 8 a.m.
Okay.
They wanted it to include the day shift on Saturday and Sunday. And I guess what the logic is for the 4 p.m. to 8 a.m. is that all of the buildings have management offices. So during the day, the regular daytime, there's always someone there at the building.
Right.
But on holidays and weekends, there's no one there during the day until the security officer comes at 4 p.m. So we looked at it, and the only building that doesn't have this is 10 Pavilion.
The other ones have it.
The other ones have voluntarily already done it.
Have during the day for weekends.
Weekend daytime.
Correct.
Weekend daytime and holiday
Yeah.
daytime.
Yeah, that's correct. They already do it. The Housing Authority does it, and Washington Manor does it. So our recommendation to council would be to enact an ordinance requiring it. And I gave you a suggested language change that the city attorney can look at, but it simply says, the ordinance currently says that a minimum of 1 uniformed security guard should be on duty in the lobby of each senior citizen apartment building, subject to this article, between the hours of 4 p.m. and 8 a.m., 7 days a week. And my suggestion is just to add after 7 days a week, and also between the hours of 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. on Saturday, Sunday, and holidays, and then add a definition of holiday, which shall mean any day the on-site management office is closed or not manned, which is,
Good.
that's my suggestion, and it's certainly up to council if you think
I agree.
you agree.
Yeah,
That's
that's
good.
good.
That's easy.
So if there's consensus, I guess we'll refer it to the city attorney
Have a
and introduce
consensus
it
on
on January 10th.
John, you good with that?
I do, yes.
Everybody else is shaking their head. I can't see your head shaking. Okay.
Director, great job.
Great job. Thank you. That's right.
Okay. Next
I agree too. Good. I agree.
Next on our agenda is Director Roebuck with bail reform changes. That comes from the state.
It comes from the state. I got 5 minutes. My
How it's going to affect.
boss told me I have 5 minutes, so I'm going to go through this real quick.
So you're going to tell us about how it's going to affect Long Branch.
I'm going to try, because I'm not really sure how it's going to affect us yet, but we'll go through some of it. It came from the state, but it was actually voted on back in 2014. It was one of those election year ballot things that they asked you, the question, and they made it sound real nice, that, hey, wouldn't you want people to be in jail for, violent crimes and this, that, and the other thing, and everybody voted yes. They didn't read the fine print, which means it's going to cost a lot of money to a lot of people to get this done.
Can you explain what the reform?
Yeah, so right now, New Jersey, like most other states, although a lot of people are kind of moving to this system, we do a monetary based bail. So if you have money, you can get out of jail. If you don't have money, you're going to be in jail for probably a long time waiting until you go to trial, sometimes a year or two. They're going to move away from that. It's going to go from a monetary-based system to a risk-based system. Some offenders, which is the only good part of this, will have no bail at all. Depending on what they do, there won't be a bail. You're going to be in jail until you go in front of court and you go to trial, which is a speedy trial. I think it's 90 or 180 days now. They have to be, anybody arrested January 1st and after, you have to be in trial in either 90 or 180 days, which, before it was years that we were keeping people in jail. So some offenders will have no bail. They're really getting away from money. Money's kind of the last thing that they're going to do. They're going to do a whole bunch of other things. They're going to be a bunch of low-risk things they're going to do. You have to check in with somebody once a week. You have to hold a full-time job. There's a whole bunch of other things that they will let you go if you have those things. If you don't do these things, then you'll go to jail. And it's going to drive the cost down for the jail, obviously, because the jail isn't going to be holding as many people, or at least they think, but it's going to drive our cost and the court's cost up because someone has to deal with all this. Well, what happened, can I explain why?
Yeah.
So what happens now is everybody who gets arrested will be fingerprinted from January 1st on for all the certain crimes you can be fingerprinted for, which is almost everything. It'll be fingerprinted and it goes into the state system, the ECDR system. Before we can go any further with that now, we have to wait until it gets into the system, which could be a wait of 20 minutes to up to 2 hours. So now you're going to have guys sitting there waiting for this to come up into the system. So you're going to be having people that would normally fingerprint them, do their arrest report, they'd go back on the road within 40 minutes. Now you could be waiting there for hours for this to happen. So you're going to have people off the road for a longer period of time, which is never good. And if you have 2 or 3 people under arrest, you're going to have a lot of cops in there waiting for this to happen. So once that happens, once you get that back, you process the CDR, which is, what you write down what they did, their complaint through the court system like normally, and then you click a button. That's the public safety assessment, and it's a computer generated algorithm that takes into a bunch of factors that you don't need to know and I don't even remember. And it spits out a number at you. It spits out a number between 1 and 6, and there's a couple of risk factors in there, and if you hit a certain number, other guy's going to jail. If you don't hit a certain number, then you're going to let him go. You're just going to write a summons and he's going to go home. Most people will be going home. Less people will be going on a warrant than we have now. There are some things that'll go on a warrant just automatically. There's a certain number of crimes that people are just going to go on a warrant. That's the same thing as it is now. Obviously, murder and a whole bunch of things like that. There's a list of them that they will go on a warrant. So that's going to take more time right there. After that happens, if they do go on a warrant, then we have to go on another system started by the Monmouth County Prosecutor's Office and input some more information and all the reports into that system. And they won't take him at the jail until all this is done. So before we had time, we could ship him to jail that night, we could come back the next day when we weren't so busy, write the reports, do what we had to do. Now we don't have that time. They won't even let us ship them to jail until we upload all this in the computer. So that's going to be more time. Now, if it's a summons and not a warrant where the guy's not going to jail, now we have 48 hours now to do that. We don't have to do it right away. The problem with 48 hours is Friday night at 6 o'clock, 48 hours is done Sunday night. So that means now we have to have somebody in the records department working on a Saturday, because otherwise all this isn't going to get done. So we're looking into ways to how we're going to get that done, whether we're going to put somebody that's going to come in on a weekend, or we're going to have somebody working Tuesday through Saturday, or there's, a couple different things that we're going to try to figure out how this is going to work. So if they do go to jail, the next big thing is they have to have a pre-trial proceeding within 5 days to see whether or not they're going to stay in jail. So any reports, anything that you're going to go maybe to the scene and gather and evidence and all the reports that you're going to write need to be done and up there in 5 days, which normally we had a lot more time to do all that. Sometimes it takes us a week or two to get the evidence ready. We have to go get video or fingerprinting or whatever we have to do. Not everything's going to be done in 5 days. Some of it will have to be done later, but we have to try to get as much as we can if we want to keep that guy in jail. We have to get all that done within 5 days, which is going to be more time and more money of us doing that when we had time before to kind of do it when we could do it and not have to, pay overtime for it. So that's kind of short and sweet what's going to happen January 1st. We're looking at a couple ways to work things out. Like I said, I don't want to see guys inside for hours and hours. That's no good for anybody. So there's a couple things we're looking at. We don't want to do anything right now until we see how it goes. We want to probably do 2 or 3 months and see where we're at and where we go. Ocean County's saying it's going to cost them $2 million a year for this. The state of New Jersey, they're saying $50 million it's going to cost.
So it's going to put a big burden on the county, even more so than the local municipalities, isn't it?
Yes and no.
By moving all those timetables up.
Yes, it's going to put some burden on us, and some of it got kicked down the hill. Some of it on them, and some of it got kind of kicked down the hill to us.
But they're not going to react until our paperwork.
Yeah, they are going to have to be, someone's going to have to be there on the weekends too. So they're going to have to hire more
Saturday.
staff and stuff, same as us. They have to hire
But
more staff.
A lot of that paperwork they would have been doing, or
No, we just had
they
a
would have
longer
been processing the
processing
personnel.
it differently. Yeah, we used to, a lot of the stuff now has to be sent right there, and we didn't have to do it right then. We would do it over the course of 2 or 3 days
And
once
they would
everything
still
got
hold
processed.
the
Oh yeah,
individual
they would
freehold.
still, right.
But they don't want the person in freehold until all the paperwork.
Until
is done.
everything's there. Yeah, with this new system they set up, we have to input everything into their system. It actually spits a number back at us. We have to bring that number up to the jail, or else they won't take the guy.
They can't just look at their computer and see things.
No, that's.
So it's not all
That'd be-
electronic, it's half electronic and half.
Most of it is. Most of it is. Yeah. So, so I don't know how they're going to do it. Most of it's going to be on us. But if the computer says summons and we think the guy should be in jail, then we're going to have the option to, pick up the phone and say, here, we have this reason why, and then they have the right to override it. So there's going to have to be someone from them on staff, on call, and they're going to be looking at the stuff real time too, as it's all coming in. Whether they're going to be doing it from home, whether they're going to be doing it from remote and be on call. I don't know how they're going to do it on their end, but they're going to have to hire some more or pay more people to be working on the weekends also. So I don't know what it's going to do to our overtime budget next year. We really don't know. So we're going to have to. That's something we're going to have to look at and talk about and decide as we get into the year.
Is it normally a police officer that takes care of the records, or is that a clerk position?
If it's a summons, the records department is going to do it, because we have
Those are
48 hours.
Not police officers.
Not police officers, right, because we have
So you
48
to have
hours.
somebody,
But if it's a warrant and we have to send it right away, there's nobody here at night.
right.
So they have to do it right then. So all those reports have to be put together, all the things there's like 3 or 4 things that have to be done, put together, and sent to them before they'll take the prisoner.
So you
And that
may
means
need
it pulls them
someone
off the road.
Right.
So you may need someone in records on the weekends as well now.
May need someone in records on the weekends. We're looking at a way to do that. We were throwing about the idea of hiring like a class 2 or something to work inside to help with the guys, because one way to get the people back on the road is to just throw them all in the jail cell and just wait till everything comes back. But then if you do that, you have to have somebody watch them.
Could the police officers start the paperwork and then have the class 2 wait for
Watch them.
returns and stuff like?
We could, but then you'd have to hire another class 2 or hire some more. But that would be
But
more.
at least we'll have the police officers.
More cost effective too than to have a, so we were thinking maybe we could hire a couple of full-time guys just to do that maybe, because that would get the cops back on the road and that guy could wait, and, because
If they're just waiting for a number, they're waiting for.
the cop will probably have to come back in off
They
the
might
road
have
at
to
some
come back
point,
in.
right.
Yes. But
Right.
at least it's, you know.
But at least we don't have a guy in there watching 2 or 3 people when he should be out on the road. So we're tossing that around as one idea, whether that'll work. We're thinking online reporting. I know a lot of other towns have done online reporting for certain things. You know, some towns have the ones where you walk in the lobby, they have the little, computer set up. It's like a touch screen. You can say my bike was stolen 5 days ago and I didn't know about it, and I would just figure out something that we wouldn't, really have to do right away. Thinking about that. Services, we might have to take a look at the services that we go to. I mean, if someone falls and breaks their thumb, do we really need to send a guy there? Right now we do. We send someone to every single first aid call. Maybe if that's something we need to stop doing. So there's that kind of things too that we're kind of looking at. So we're gonna let it play out for like a month or 2 and see where we're at, but I just want to let you guys a heads up and
Thank you.
see that it's gonna, at some point, it's gonna cost us something, I think. I don't know what.
It's a work in progress. If you see there's going to be an impact to the budget, you'll come back to council and address it.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Okay, next we
Was that
have the review of the
5 minutes?
regular meeting agenda. Does anyone have any questions regarding the regular meeting agenda? John?
Oh, no, I'm good.
Okay, everybody else is good? Okay, good. Okay, I need a motion to close. Before I do that, the young lady who's here to speak with us, what is her name? Okay, can I have a motion to close? Okay, all in
Second.
favor? Okay, I need a motion to adopt a resolution to go into executive session for the following items: contract negotiations, PBA and SOA contracts, LB Partners, personnel.